I'm Ryan Newman, and since I started with Indiana Donor Network and Driven to Save Lives, I found out that some people think that they can't be an organ donor. The truth is, anyone can sign up to be an organ donor.
Anyone?
Anyone?
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyone can sign up to be an organ donor. So don't count yourself out because somebody's counting on you. Go to driventosavelives.org and sign up today.
But my heart's going to you, Ryan.
Love that shirt.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another night of iRacing action here on the National Racing Network, where tonight it will be the Stars and Cars of the SimSpeedShop.com Premier Series, running the Mint Mortgage fall season. Only 2 rounds left to go. Johnny Avila picking up a huge win 1 week ago, but he's still got a 16-point gap to chase down to Braden Carroll. This is going to be a fantastic show. My name is Chris Graham, joined in the booth, not as always, at least not for these shows, but by one of my broadcast partners, Mr. James Watson. And I'll tell you what, James, Martinsville Speedway, under the lights, yeah, we'll take it. This place is going to be pretty darn spectacular here tonight. And quite frankly, a little bit light on the car count, but that means we're going to see a lot of green flag racing.
Yeah, I'm probably one of the few people out there that their eyes actually light up when they see Martinsville on the schedule. Like, it's always one of my most favorite places to run. And it's such a shame because, you know, people don't particularly enjoy it because the races tend to be caution fest. But given the talent level in this series and with the lower car count, I think we might see some decent green flag running here.
Yeah, and one of the other things about this place is that the bankings are 12 degrees. We talk about the fact that, you know, people will say Martinsville's a paperclip. It's board flat and blah, blah. It is nowhere close to board flat. In fact, it's only 2 degrees less banking than turn 1 at Pocono, which is one of the more banked corners that you're going to see on a big racetrack. And I'll tell you what, this place really is going to be conducive to potentially multi-line racing tonight because we have the dynamic track update that iRacing dropped for 2024 Season 1. These guys got an extra half hour of practice. We really don't know what we're going to see, but based on some of the lines we're seeing these cars running right now in practice, they're not hugged up against the bottom.
No, they're not, and it's going to be curious to see because, you know, we've kind of seen it a little bit in real life. You know, you've seen some guys start to run the outside, which it feels kind of sacrilegious, for lack of a better word, you know, running anywhere but next to the curb at Martinsville, but if it works, it works.
Yeah, and the other thing is this is a fixed setup league, and this is one of those places that you really kind of have to adapt your driving style to fit the setup. Could you run the bottom all night? Yes, you could, but you may burn the tires off of these things, and they've only got 2 sets in the box after qualifications. That means you're really going to have to put some effort in if you want to make this car last the entire 175 laps.
Yeah, it's difficult because, you know, everyone always kind of likens it to a road course. That's why you've seen a lot of the more road-centric guys do better here than most other roads. And it's kind of because, you know, you need to balance the trail braking and you need to have good rotation through the center. And if the fixed setup isn't quite able to do either of that, you've really got to learn how to adjust your driving style because it's going to be for a tough evening otherwise.
So pulling up the weather conditions, 77-degree ambient temperature, 79-degree track temp, clear skies, no wind. I'll tell you what, these guys could not ask for a better set of conditions to race these cars in here tonight. As Mraz goes top of the charts, 19.411. Hunter Waters was second quick at a 21.42, but now A.J. Digby's going to slide up into that second position. Take a look. Digby coming off the corner to finish his qualification run. Oh, buddy, almost got it up into the wall. But he does improve to a 19.525. Good second lap. Andrew Moore Jr., new quick time. Top of the board, 19.274. 19.27 with a 4 for Andrew Moore Jr. Now following along with the 19 of Tom Wilhite. Lap number 1 at 22.34. See what he can do here on lap number 2. And he will improve up to the 4th position, 19.766. Now getting out onto the speedway, guy who was our pole sitter 1 week ago at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. That was Garrett Johnston. Well, I guess 2 weeks ago at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Garrett Johnston in the number 15, running the Michael Waltrip colors tonight under the lights. That car is going to look pretty darn spectacular.
Yeah, I had to do a double take. I'm like, is this a throwback night?
No, it's not. Actually, they run a throwback night, and we got to pick the winners. A little bit disappointed that Johnny Avila did not take home a prize in a Jocko Giacomo throwback. Garrett Johnston third quick after lap number 1. Lap number 2 improves, but does not move him up the board. 19.446 seconds. The timer record for Garrett Johnston. He's going to get that 15 machine down on the pit lane. Now we're going to wait for a bunch of cars to get out onto the speedway. Now, one of the things that they do here in the Sim Racers Club is they're going to let this clock run all the way down. 6.5 minutes left in the session. Sometimes, James, there can be an advantage to that in saying, look, I'm going to wait for the track to possibly cool off a little bit, especially with the sun being down. You can maybe buy yourself a 10th or 2.
Yeah, especially with the new track dynamics update, it might be more necessary to do that now than you would have thought, honestly.
Yeah, especially if there is not a session state reset done between the practice and the qualifying session. We saw that in the TNT Shock Series out at North Wilkesboro Speedway. There were hundreds of laps put on that racing surface during practice. And it really was a big deal when you got to qualifying. If you don't have the session state reset, that basically means you're running on that hot track that's all rubbered in and gunked up and, quite frankly, not real friendly to drive on.
Nope. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see how everyone deals with that tonight, having to deal with 175 laps on top of all the practice.
Well, there's Troy Haight and the number 28 Woodfather Chevrolet making his way off at turn number 4. Lap number 1 was good. 6th quick. He's going to move up to 2nd quick. 19.352, only 78 thousandths back. Pick up the Chubbies. Hunter's Fried Pickles, number 11 of Tyler Seville. He loops it off at turn number 4. Lap number 2 will not score for Tyler Seville. He will start this race no better than the 4th position. Now waiting for Johnny Avila to get out on the racetrack. You see the Zeem Speed Shop, teamzss.com, number 63 Chevrolet, just there at the right-hand side of your screen. Johnny waiting for the absolute opportune moment to get out onto the racetrack. Stage breaks tonight for tonight's 175-lap race. Will be at stage 1 will end at lap number 40. Stage 2 will end at lap number 90. Caution period tonight. The only guaranteed one you're going to get is at lap number 40. that is a really long run if you're going to try to make basically one set of tires last the rest of this race.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily too impossible, though. You know, the tire model on short tracks isn't that intensive on wear itself. It's just overheating. So you're not really killing the tires, per se, going a long run. And so it's not impossible to do that. You know, you're not really going to super fall off a cliff or get a meatball.
3 cars out on the speedway right now. Richard Fletcher up into position number 8. Quentin Clark goes 7th quick after his first lap. Roger Rios, lap number 1 is currently underway. The first lap is going to be a 25:34 for Rios. 19:5:63 for Quentin Clark. What does lap number 2 look like? He will move 1 position forward up into the 6th position. That'll be a lap time of 19.480 seconds. Still waiting on Johnny Avila to decide to get that car off a pit lane. The other big story tonight here is Braden Carroll, your points leader, entering tonight's race by 16 markers over Johnny Avila. He will have to start this race EOL for a start infraction at Las Vegas, as Avila is going to roll out onto the speedway. That's a big deal, but maybe slightly less so, because if you don't have the big car count, you're almost locked in to scoring stage points here. There's only 14, 15 cars on the entry list. Top 10 score stage points. You basically need to just not be at the very back of the field, and you're going to get something in terms of the stage points.
Yeah, if there was ever a time to make that little boo-boo, as we're seeing, dare I say so?
Potentially a little bit. Johnny Avila running that car way up on the outside, getting a lot of heat into those brakes as much as he possibly can. Off at turn number 4 this time, as Braden Carroll goes quick time, 19.222. Oh, and Avila's going to spin it off of turn 2. It backs it into the fence. Oh, my goodness. Do you... Well, now... Oh, this is beautiful. Johnny Avila's going to complete lap number 2 in reverse.
I say he needs to get the pole just for that alone.
40 seconds remaining in the session. Lap number 2 for Johnny Avila does not score. He will line up no better than 13th, 25.409. The lap time record for Johnny Avila. Daniel Pinkston and Doug Wysocki are yet to get out onto the racetrack. Let's see if we can't get a word in here with Johnny Avila. Johnny, I got to ask you, what in the heck was going on out there?
I was just trying to keep the tires cool, and then I went to go and I spun out. So then I just popped it in.
So James is in the booth with me tonight asking, are we seeing a little bit of cheesing in qualifications by chance? Maybe a little bit, but now you're going to have a long way to go here. It's not a ton of cars in the field tonight, but you're still going to have some work to do to get that 63 machine up to the front.
Yeah, but just take my time, be patient, keep the car clean. Everything will sort itself out probably.
All right, buddy. Well, good luck tonight. Hopefully you guys put on a heck of a show for us here. We appreciate you coming up into the booth. And now we just got to refresh all the paint schemes and the graphics here to make sure that we can show you all of the correct sponsor logos on these cars. And with everybody getting out onto the starting grid, let's take a moment here and we'll show you tonight's starting lineup. On the pole, in the teamzss.com, number 24, Chevrolet Camaro with a lap time of 19.222 seconds. It is points leader Braden Carroll. Lining up to his outside out of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, the Weiss Markets number 77 Ford Mustang, 52 thousandths of a second back. It is the 77 of Andrew Moore Jr. Row number 2, another Pennsylvania native, the Woodfather, number 28, Chevrolet Camaro, belonging to Troy Haight. To his outside will be Michigan's Andrew Mraz, car number 45. Sim coaches on the side of that Ford Mustang. He will line up on the outside of row number 2. Row 3 tonight will have Tyler Seville. It says Florida. I don't know if it's Florida, West Virginia, wherever, but Tyler's going to line up inside car number 11. It is the Chubbies, Hunter's Fried Pickles, Toyota Camry. The Napa Auto Parts, number 15, Garrett Johnston out of the Midwest, will be on the outside of the third row. Row number 4 will be Quentin Clark and A.J. Digby. Row 5, Richard Fletcher in the Horizon Hobby, number 43 Ford Mustang, alongside of the Vast P1 battery, number 19 of Tom Wilhite. Row 6, the Hunter's Fried Pickles, number 7 of Newburgh, Indiana's Hunter Waters. Law Chevrolet also on that machine. Roger Rios in the Superior Templating, number 5 Chevrolet, will line up to his outside. Row number 7, Toronto, Ontario, Canada's Johnny Avila in the teamzss.com, number 63 Chevrolet, alongside of the PMP Lawn Care, number 22 Chevrolet, belonging to Daniel Pinkston. Final row of the grid will be Doug Wysocki in the Charity Motorsports, number 34 Ford Mustang. Field getting ready to roll into turns 3 and 4. Pace truck is in. And we are getting ready to go for 175 laps here at the Martinsville Speedway. Braden Carroll to the back. He takes that EOL into the start zone. Great flag goes in the air. We're underway, and it's a great start for Andrew Moore Jr. Caution is out for the first time here tonight at lap number 3. An early incident, possibly Roger Rios having some trouble. And right as I was about to try and say, James, you got to work your way down to the inside of this racetrack or you could have some problems. Let's take a look and see what happened to car number 5 back here through turns 3 and 4. Oh, just a little bit of a twitch, snap sideways, doesn't hit anything. But it does bring the caution flag out for the first time here tonight.
Yeah, you've got to be so careful about the death wobble here. If you're not tracking out naturally off of the corner, it's going to be really sketchy. Stuff like that happens way more often than you think.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it. Johnny Avila has spun himself out here, I think, the last 2 races that we've had at Martinsville Speedway, both times coming to a stage win, or at least contending for a stage win. It is, I don't know what it is. It's almost like there's a bump. I don't know if it's the tunnel that's under there, but something at the exit of turn number 4 just absolutely unsettles these race cars.
Yeah, and just the independent rear suspension, it just makes them super kind of finicky and unpredictable. If you have a little bit of the wrong steering input in, especially with the shock packages you have to run at a track like this.
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, Daniel Pinkston sitting 5 laps down in the 15th position. He is not out on the racetrack right now. In fact, he is showing as out of this race early on. But yeah, these guys they're really going to have to contend with that. And quite frankly, the single car spin could kind of be the order of the night. The other big one that we're going to have to watch is who takes what lane when they do the choose at the restarts. When they come around to the one to go, you're going to be down on the inside lane or all the way up against the outside wall, and you will get to choose what lane you want to restart in. Here at Martinsville, almost everybody is going to take that inside lane. Andrew Mraz electing the outside lane, Tyler Seville taking the outside lane as well. But Troy Haight out of the second position, he elected to stay in behind Andrew Moore Jr. That track position on the inside, at least early on, is going to be absolutely critical to maintain.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that Moore was able to get as much of a jump as he did on the initial start. He lucked out so hard.
Well, we'll see. They'll get into the simspeedshop.com restart zone. The green flag goes back in the air, and again, it is a great start for Andrew Moore Jr. Following our championship contenders, Braden Carroll up to the 9th, now up to the 8th position. Johnny Avila runs in 7th, top 3, getting themselves single filed out. Quentin Clark, Garrett Johnston going to be side by side off of 4.
Figured that the 42 would have cut down the line. He had plenty of room to do so, but now he does.
Yeah, that's one of those things that the league has racecraft penalties. And if you make contact and don't claim the caution, the penalties can be pretty severe. And if you do claim the caution, you're getting an EOL out of it. So you really have to be careful of who you kind of run into. You have to know that they can kind of take the bump and run. Oh, one car!
Wow.
That was a huge hit for Johnny Avila and Andrew Mraz. Let's take a look here and see on the NRN replay. Pick up the 45 of Andrew Mraz. See if we can see what happened here. Car just that little death wobble. You talked about it. Troy Haight got a piece. And then a huge hit for Johnny Avila.
Yeah, look at the 11 too. Like, he had it missed perfectly fine, and then the car just snaps up on him. It's stupid how easy that can happen.
We'll take a look here at Tyler Seville in the 11. Yeah, that car just kind of went around all on its own.
Yep.
Now, as we go back to the live look here, we're going to have a bunch of cars on pit lane. Johnny Avila, an extended stay on pit road. Tyler Seville is on pit lane, as is Andrew Mraz. And when you're talking about a championship, now you're going to keep your best 11 of 12, but you really don't want to have a 14th place finish be one of those races that you have to keep if you're Johnny Avila.
No, sir. And he is still on pit road. Good gracious.
Yeah, 33.7 seconds was the time in the box. He does get back out onto the racetrack. He'll be able to tag in, as does Andrew Mraz. So we'll keep everybody on the lead lap. But now at lap number 14, we've already got 2 cautions in. And quite frankly, you almost have to wonder if it isn't the weather conditions. Are you just not able to get the tires up to temperature? It's a cool night here in Martinsville.
I don't know, it's not even just that. It's just how this car is here. It can get really unpredictable. You're going about your business like you have been all night, and then it just gets temperamental. It just shoots you all over the place.
Well, the field's going to get doubled up. Andrew Moore, Quentin Clark on row number 1. A.J. Digby, Troy Haight on row 2. Garrett Johnston, Hunter Waters, row 3. Row 4, Braden Carroll and Richard Fletcher. Tom Wilhite, Doug Wysocki on row number 5 for the restart. Andrew Moore Jr. doing exactly what he's needed to do to this point in the race. Control things from the start. See if he can do it again as they get into the simspeedshop.com restart zone. And he does. That is a fantastic restart for Moore. Now A.J. Digby having a look on Quentin Clark for position number 2. Digby's going to kind of get in line, but Troy Haight now going to have the peek up the inside of the 14 AJ. University of Mount Union Esports on that number 14 machine. Johnny Avila goes around towards the back of the pack. Caution is out again here at Martinsville.
That is some significant front end damage right there. That nose is punched in.
Take a look here and see what happened off of turn number 2. Oh, may have gotten a little bit of a neck code contact. Oh, and he gets teammate Tyler Seville as well.
I'm not even necessarily sure if it was netcode. It might have just been he made a little evasive maneuver and it deathmarked.
Man, that was a pretty big hit for Tyler Seville as well. A lot of front end damage for Johnny Avila's car. He's going to stay out on the racetrack for now. Tyler Seville has to hit pit lane. Man alive, this is turning into a bit of a demolition derby here early at Martinsville.
Such is life at the paperclip.
You are not lying. I was down there back in the fall for the NASCAR weekend, and even watching the modifieds around there. This place at night is slippery, and I don't know that there's any other word to use for it. It's not greasy, it's not slick, it's just slippery. It seems like you have to really work to keep the car on the line that you want to have it on.
Yeah, you just gotta be really careful. Well, you want to be more aggressive because you think you can under the lights, but it's not always necessarily the case. Now, personally, I've always felt it be grippier in the night more so than the day because you don't have the sun kind of baking down on it. But that's just personally.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. I don't know if it's the concrete in the corners or what it is, but getting ready to go back to green flag racing. Andrew Moore, Quentin Clark on the front row. Troy Haight, Braden Carroll on row 2. Good restart again for Moore. Here comes Carroll. He was going to have a look up to the inside and about doing everything he needs to try and lock up a championship here tonight. I don't know that he can mathematically win the championship tonight, but I mean, even trying to make up 16 points, you're not going to do. If you're Johnny Avila, you can't leave here with a 16-point deficit and head to Phoenix next week.
No, and things are going to have to change for Johnny here pretty soon because, as we've seen, it's not been a... Oh, God.
A.J. Digby goes around. Trouble for the 14 AJ, University of Mount Union Esports entry. And my goodness. We'll take a look here and see what happened. Looked like he just lost that car all on his own. Well, maybe not. possibly a little bit of right side romance there from the 42.
Yeah, I think he just slid up just a smidge, kind of bounced down onto the curb, and that's all she wrote.
So, AJ Digby's going to head to pit lane. Tyler Seville is back out onto the racetrack, and quite frankly, Daniel Pinkston electing not to start this race may be having the most fun of anybody at this point. Definitely,
At this rate, he's probably going to win.
I'll tell you what, it's one of those deals that it just gets that feeling of everybody's going to have an issue at some point, and you hit a point where you go, this is just not fun. But the guys that do well get that big sense of relief and go, hey, I earned a good finish here tonight. This place was tough.
Yeah, do we have incident limits in this league?
I don't know if there is an incident limit per se. I know that there is live race control, and if you have, like, for example, I think it's 2 self spins, you can get parked for the night.
I see. Yeah. Honestly, we might be kind of close to that at the rate we're going, which is kind of surprising, again, given the talent level. But yeah, this car is finicky tonight.
Yeah, that's putting it a little bit mildly, I think. But we are rapidly closing in on the end of stage number 1. That will occur at lap number 40. And that will be the only guaranteed caution of the race. Now, I think we've run about 6 total green flag laps to this point, so getting more cautions isn't necessarily a worry. But it does kind of play up the strategy game a little, though, because you have to decide, okay, at which of these cautions do I want to stop and take fresh tires?
I mean, at the rate we're going, I don't think you really need to worry about pitting. Like, I've had a Martinsville race in the Next Gen to go just like this. A bunch of cautions, just never ending. I stayed out, never pitted at all, and won.
That's a great point. I mean, you're going to get, I guess the number's about 2 to 1 in terms of caution laps versus green flag laps. We'll see if any of these guys are going to change up the strategies as we get ready to go back green flag racing. Andrew Moore Jr., Garrett Johnston on row 1, Braden Carroll, Quentin Clark on row 2. Oh, man, really bottling things up on the start. We'll see if race control isn't going to issue a warning of some sort on the start there, because, James, I believe you call it the David Hobbs term. You use argy-bargy. I will say that was straight up grab ass going on at the start as Braden Carroll goes around.
Oh, no!
Big one.
Oh!
Another caution flag. And Bizzle, you're going to bring the comic relief here, I hope. Welcome to the booth. As Johnny Avila is wrecked again.
Yeah, I was going to actually send an entry fee and run this race. Considering my terrible display of talent last night, I think it's probably a good thing I didn't show up here tonight. I am seeing a Michael Waltrip paint scheme. If I know anything about how Michael Waltrip drives race cars, you don't want to see him behind you, and unfortunately did not work out for Braden Carroll.
Yeah, Braden Carroll getting involved in an incident here. You can see the 11 of Tyler Seville. That hood's all jacked up. Johnny Avila's jacked up a little bit. Roger Rios smacks the wall. The 42 of Quentin Clark picking up some damage as well.
So then, is this the moment that Johnny needs? Like, how much damage did he get being involved in that incident? Because it seemed like Braden got the worst end of it.
Yeah, Braden Carroll's on pit lane. Richard Fletcher, AJ Digby, Roger Rios, Braden Carroll, Tyler Seville, all on pit lane. Johnny Avila has somehow managed to stay out on the racetrack. And the stop for Braden Carroll will be a long one. 23 seconds and counting.
Yeah, I believe I didn't see the right front spinning at all on Machine of Braden Carroll.
My goodness. 33 laps in. I believe this is caution flag number 5 of the night. And where that comes into play here, Bizzle, is that you know the rule book better than I do. If the percentage of the race run under caution stays under a certain amount, a racecraft penalty gets dropped from anybody that may have them. If you run this race mostly under caution, you're talking about potentially having not only the racecraft penalties that you may pick up tonight, but you're not going to get rid of any of the old ones either.
Yeah, I believe both Johnny Avila and Braden Carroll have a pretty major one, and both of those cars involved in the incident here, but I'm not sure either of them are going to be at fault for that one. Braden did spin, but I believe there was contact with the 15. So I'm not sure that's going to hurt him too terribly, but it could mean a disqualification in the next round, the final round of the championship, where you especially don't want to see a disqualification.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Hunter Waters, Johnny Avila battling for position number 4. Waters going to have the inside preferred lane. And next time by, it'll be 5 to go in stage 1. And then we'll get to stage break caution. I would imagine the really frustrating part here, James, is that when you start, you kind of go, okay, we're going to get a little bit of a run going here. Then you're going to get another caution flag for the stage break. It just feels like this race has not gotten into a rhythm of any sort yet.
No, and Martinsville's a track you kind of need to get into a rhythm. If you can get that rhythm going and get your marks consistently, then it can be a fun race and a good race. And typically, when you can get that rhythm, you can get a good green flag run going. But we just have not had that opportunity, and with the caution coming up, we're definitely not going to get that.
Roger Rios just set the fastest lap of the race, but in danger of going a lap down.
That's why he set the fastest lap of the race.
Lap number 40 goes up on the board, and 1 to go here in Northland Leisure, stage number 1. Off at turn number 4, green and white checkered goes in the air, and Andrew Moore Jr. picks up the win here tonight in Northland Leisure, stage number 1. And the caution comes out, and this will be, as AJ Digby goes around in turn 2.
Did he just spin under caution?
You know a thing or two about that, James.
I have no idea what you're talking about. But I do feel confident saying that's really rough spinning under caution. He's probably never going to live that down. Ever.
It's spoken from experience there. Well, that's not the replay that we were looking for, but now we're going to see most of the field come down pit lane with the exception of Andrew Moore Jr. He will stay out on the racetrack. Garrett Johnston will lead the crowd down pit lane. And James, I'll tell you what, unless you're in a situation where you maybe have some damage repair, some optionals to get done, I don't know that you need to stop yet. We haven't run that many laps under green flag conditions.
Yeah, I agree with that. And you don't really want to be in traffic with everything that we've seen. but at the same time, you know, it's a guaranteed caution. You know, it's not necessarily a bad idea to maybe consider taking tires, but with the limited sets that you have in this league, it's not a bad idea also to just stay out like we're seeing.
Well, at the front of the field, Andrew Moore Jr. elects to stay out on the racetrack, as does the 43 of Richard Fletcher. A.J. Digby stays out as well. Garrett Johnston is going to be the first car that came down pit lane. And I'll tell you what, this is huge for Braden Carroll. That car's still stationary on pit lane, 5 minutes, 25 seconds of repair work still being undertaken by that crew.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Like how this is kind of flipped up on its head. Like we thought that Braden was going to be running away with this with the adventures that Johnny's been having, and now all of a sudden Johnny's been involved in practically every caution, but yet he's chugging along in sixth, and Braden might be done for the night.
And perhaps most important, Braden will not earn a stage point here tonight. 13th position at the end of stage number 1 and 12 laps down. Now he's the first car a lap down if he's able to get back out onto the racetrack, but he's not going to be making up any, but at least very many positions here, as the field is starting to get doubled up. At this point,
at the rate we've been going, he might get back on the lead lap if he gets back out there.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So big comeback incoming.
If somebody wins this race from 12 laps down, we will have had a very rough night in the broadcast booth. Andrew Moore Jr., Richard Fletcher on row 1, A.J. Digby, Andrew Mraz on row number 2. Both of those cars have been backwards in the last 20 laps or so, as it looks like we're going to get one more lap under the caution flag. Row number 3 will be Garrett Johnston and I'm trying to see who that is. Oh, the 34, Doug Wysocki. Sorry about that. Inside lane from the rest of the way on back, it's going to be Johnny Avila, Hunter Waters, Troy Haight, Tom Wilhite, Tyler Seville, and Roger Rios. All of these cars are on the lead lap. As we get ready to restart this one, let's see if we can't get a pile of green flag laps going. As green flag goes in the air. Oh, Fletch tried to time the start, may have drawn a black flag for that one.
Yeah, I think he's definitely made a move.
He's going to start heading all the way to the back, as now Garrett Johnston and A.J. Digby battle for position number 2. TDC Havoc checking in. Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming to hang out with us. Oh man, looks like Troy Haight may have bounced off the wall big time exiting turn number 4. And that car practically coming to a stop down the front straightaway.
Race control's like, nope, we've had enough. Get back on.
I always felt like that should be, at minimum, like a 5-lap penalty. If you stop on the racetrack to bring out a caution flag, and then you immediately start rolling again, just park it for the night.
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
It is such a problem in the dirt world.
Well, the problem is the local dirt kart track I used to race at, the race control would say, hey, if you've half spun or you've completely lost the field and for some reason the car stops, don't immediately start it back up. Sit there until we pull the caution out. It's being taught at the very lowest level of racing. hey, yeah, if you don't want to lose a lap, sit and bring the caution out instead of, I don't know, trying to go back and race.
That's exactly right. We're teaching bad habits to the kids, and they only get worse as they get older. As Johnny Avila looks inside of Garrett Johnston, trying to put that car up into position number 2.
I swear, if Johnny comes back to win this race after everything he's been through tonight.
That car's been backwards at least, well, no, I'm just going to say 3 times, but 4 if you count qualifying. He spun in qualifying and did his entire second lap in reverse.
Like, he put that nose first into the wall, and he's a couple laps away from battling for the lead.
Yeah, I am floored. Actually, also a little bit floored here. Brandon Carroll is back on the racetrack, 22 laps down, 10 minutes behind the race leaders. But he's out there, and at the rate things have gone tonight, could be a chance for Brandon Carroll to make up a couple of positions.
Well, unfortunately for him, Troy Haight is back on the track at 6 laps down, so he's going to need extra cautions to get back on the lead lap. Oh, here we go, bow for the lead.
Avila with a big dive inside of Moore into 1. Man, that's a blue light special. 2 for 1 is Garrett Johnston going to make it 3 for 1 on Andrew Moore.
Yeah, talk another angle of the race getting flipped up on its head. Like Moore's led the entire race, and all of a sudden, in the span of 1 lap, he's down to P5.
As it stands right now, the bottom lane is absolutely where you must be in these cars. But, Bizzle, we kind of made the joke about it a little bit ago. We've seen Johnny Avila spin out of the lead, I think, in the last 2 races we've run at Martinsville Speedway.
Yeah, he's very good at that. Frankly, you don't want to be good at that, but he's also really good at winning races, so tonight might be the night he turns it around.
Well, and if we're going to have a championship battle when we head to Phoenix 1 week from tonight, Johnny Avila is going to have to keep that car at the front of the field. The gap was 16 points entering tonight's race. I forget where he finished in stage 1, but if he finishes in the lead in stage 2, he'll have closed 10 of those points already on Braden Carroll.
Yeah, imagine being Braden Carroll right now. You're in a huge championship battle against someone who's won the championship here a bunch of times, and you see him spin about 50,000 times, and you're up battling for the lead. You're like, okay, this is what I need. I might be able to wrap this up tonight. And then suddenly you spin, you see he's involved in it too, but as you're getting your meatball fixed, he's battling for the lead, and you're like, what the hell is going on? You have to be kidding me. Brain just has to be like steaming at this point. You're like, what are the odds of this happening?
And looking at the front, Johnny Avila has teammate Hunter Waters right back behind. Now, Hunter wants a win this season. Taking a look at the point standings as we head into tonight's race. Hunter Waters 7th in points, only 9 back of Andrew Moore Jr. And Moore was only 4 back of Tyler Seville, who was 3 back of Garrett Johnston. You could potentially put yourself up well inside the top 5 with a win here tonight if you're Hunter Waters.
Yeah, and at this point, like, you're not really thinking about points. You're like, heck with that, I just want the dub. nice little green flag run we have going on.
Very nice green
you
flag
put
run
that
extending
evil.
into 69.
It is a nice lap number 69 with Johnny Avila in the lead, Hunter Waters second, Garrett Johnston, Andrew Mraz, and Andrew Moore Jr. the top 5. Top 4 starting to break away from 5th place Moore at this point. It's about a 1.5 second gap between 4th place Moore, 4th place Mraz, and 5th place Andrew Moore Jr. Oh, Hunter Waters bouncing it off the safer barrier.
A little bit of right side romance there.
Look a little bit further back here. AJ Digby battling with Roger Rios. This is going to be the fight for the 6th position. It's same deal. Both of these cars have been backwards at some point in the race tonight and contending potentially for a top 5 finish.
Yeah, isn't it funny how the races tend to go like this?
Well, Bizzle, we've talked about that a lot. The Sim Racers Club seems like we either get a lot of cautions early and then a monstrously long green flag run, or we go the other direction and we get a huge green flag run to start and then all hell breaks loose late in the race. I kind of have the feeling this could be one of those nights where both of those things happens.
Yeah, it's Martinsville. In the words of the great Denny Hamlin, it's just short track racing. It's going to happen here. You're going to get cautions. You can't put all of these cars that don't want to turn, just want to spin the tires, have way too much horsepower, at this tiny little paperclip next to a railroad track in Virginia and expect them not to crash. That's like putting a semi-truck on the top of a mountain, put it at the top of Pikes Peak, right? Cut brake lines, and then say, yeah, don't fall off the mountain by the end of it. They're gonna crash at some point here.
I think we've done that, haven't we? A no brakes down Mount Washington at one point.
We've done no fuel down Mount Washington. Soapbox, Kirby, but we've never been dumb enough to disable the brakes. You wouldn't make it past turn 1. It's a hairpin turn.
But it's more fun that way.
Yes, I love hitting the R key on my keyboard to reset the pits every 6 seconds. If I wanted to do that, I would just drive the Nürburgring with Chris Graham.
Wow.
Ouch. That's mean. You're mean.
That's hurtful. By the way, change for the lead here as Hunter Waters has gotten around Johnny Avila, opened the gap up to about a 1/4 second. Oh, Avila really dives it off into 1, though. Ooh, a little bit of a twitch there from Avila. He's going to have to back off a little bit here. It's going to be 12 to go in stage number 2. And again, there will not be an automatic caution flag at the end of stage number 2.
It's kind of interesting to see the role that tires are taking. You know, you didn't really think that tires would make that much of a difference. You know, pretty much everybody but a handful of cars came down and took tires that last stop, and seems to be playing pretty big dividends.
Yeah, the only car right now that has not taken tires at all is Andrew Moore Jr. But I would also tend to think he's in the catbird seat. Get a caution at some point, come down, take the tires like everybody else is going to, and you're still going to have a set left for late in the race. When you're talking about only having, 10, 11 cars on the racetrack, that could be a huge advantage.
To a point, you also have to consider the fact that it's still not easy to pass here. So you kind of have a very short window to where that strategy will work how you're anticipating it would. Because like say, we get a caution in another, I don't know, like 30 laps or so. You know, everyone comes down, take tires, and Moore restarts where he's at. But then, to use that extra set, you have to have time to be able to put it to use. Because say the caution comes out in 3 laps and you have 60 laps left, well, you kind of need the caution to come out with like 30 to go or so for it to work, because then you would have everyone else on used tires. You have a good chunk to be able to kind of work your way through the field on your fresher tires. But if the caution only comes out with like 20 or less to go, then it's not really going to work out as well unless you get a bunch more cautions, because you're not going to have enough time to work through the field, you know, because you still have 10 cars on the lead lap. It's going to take some time to get through 10 cars at Martinsville.
Yeah, especially if everybody decides to double up on that kind of late race restart. If you get lucky and nobody takes the outside lane, you could be in the catbird seat. But that's a lot of ifs and buts to have to hope come true. So
Yeah,
we'll see.
yeah.
Down to 1 lap. I'm sorry, James. Down to a lap and a half to go in Northland Leisure stage number 2. Hunter Waters holding a 0.3 of a second lead over Johnny Avila. Starting to close in on teammate Richard Fletcher to put him a lap down. That would leave only 9 cars on the lead lap. But now green and white checkered goes in the air, and Hunter Waters gets the win in Northland Leisure stage number 2.
Johnny Avila still breathing down the neck of Hunter Waters, though. Hunter Waters seeming to take an odd line through the corner, not bringing it all the way to the bottom, not quite diamonding the corner either. He's running about half a lane up that racetrack. There he takes the bottom, not touching the curb.
Yeah, so to me this kind of begs the question, what do you do if you're Johnny? Do you insist on trying to go for the win? Like, as it stands right now, you're going to make up a huge gap over Braden Carroll. And, you know, the car has already kind of bit you multiple times tonight.
With the racecraft penalties that he currently holds, I wouldn't even want to risk it. Hunter, you want to lead this race the rest of the way? I'll sit in second. Absolutely, this is what we're doing. Let's just keep pulling away from Andrew Mraz in third place.
Precisely. Like, yes, there's more points on offer, of course, if you get that dub.
The Sim Racers Club does not use points like TNT, where there's a huge gap between first and second. First place is 40 points, second place is 39 points. There's 1 additional point for winning this race.
Yeah, so you're not going to risk 1 extra point and potentially give up 10 in the process.
Yeah, that's one of those math things that even my pea-sized brain can figure out. It just doesn't make sense for Johnny Avila to push this in any way, shape, or form, especially with Braden Carroll still sitting back there in 11th. I mean, you're talking, it's not, like you said, it's not a huge gap, but as it stands right now, it's still a 9-point pickup, plus the stage points you got tonight. Johnny Avila could leave here as the championship leader.
Yeah, I was just about to say, Johnny Avila, he scored 9 stage points there in stage number 2. Braden Carroll sitting in 11th place, scored 0. That is 9 more points right there. Same thing, you're going to score 10 more points for finishing second in this race than he is if he finishes in 11th. It's just a no-brainer. As much as I want to see a crazy, drama-filled, side-by-side battle for the win, I just don't think Johnny Avila is going to do it. At the same time, I know Johnny Vila doesn't really care about the championship. He's just out here to have fun, wants to go out there and get wins, and just so happens to win the championship here from time to time. He's just that good. So maybe we will see him make a dive on 100 Waters later in this race.
Yeah, those are good points right there.
And Braden Carroll is not getting any help from the rest of the field here either. Actually, with the exception, I believe, of Richard Fletcher, Doug Wysocki, everybody else is still on the lead lap. So we have 8 cars remaining on the lead lap.
Not only that, why would they help Braden Carroll? For one, he's 22 laps down. Why am I going to let a car that's way too many laps down that have a chance of winning this race by me? And second off, his car was so damaged the right front tire wouldn't even spin. That car is slower than me, even if I haven't practiced in 4 years at this track.
Take you back, pick up Andrew Braz, Garrett Johnston, Roger Rios battling for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. This is going to be about the only battle on the racetrack right now. Hunter Waters has opened the gap up to 1 second over Johnny Avila. Andrew Moore Jr. starting to catch in on this one, as is AJ Digby, ever so slightly. At least for Digby. Moore is going to be right there in the middle of this fight, though. Now, we kind of have to start looking the other direction. Long green flag run. Are you going to have to pit? We're 61 laps into this run for Hunter Waters and Johnny Avila. Andrew Moore Jr., 103 laps on those tires. If we go green the rest of the way here, I don't know that there's a way that any of these guys make it on fuel.
Yeah,
No,
that's a good point.
Yeah, you can go maybe 140, 150 laps on a tank of fuel here. So it's going to be tight.
Green flag pit stops here. Wasn't that fun?
It's not that bad because at least the pit entry is actually down the back of the freeway, and nobody's going to be entering the corner that low. So you can just kind of dive down it, make it real easy. You're already on the brakes into that section. This is at least one of the easier pit lanes to get on and off of, if not one of the easiest.
It really is. It's not as chaotic as, say, Dover.
Yeah, Dover is tough because there's no entry or exit lane. Here there isn't, but it's offline and it's slow. Bristol, same thing. You're way down below the concrete. You're getting on the brakes down the straightaways. It's not like Daytona where you're trying to pull out of the pack at full speed in a line that everyone is running.
While having to manage the 10,000 other cars that are pitting at the same time as you are.
Exactly. I would say on that take, this might be the easiest track in the NASCAR calendar to get into the pit lane.
Yeah, it's
I
just
think Pocono would make an argument there.
No, because Pocono, you're coming out of the flattest corner, turn 3. Yes, it's very wide, but the way you get on the power to maximize your entrance on the pit road so far, you're going to be against the outside wall out of 3. Yes, you do have a ton of time to get low and get on the brakes, but you still have to cut across all 15 lanes of traffic to get there. God forbid someone gets a run out of you out of 3 and they decide to pull low to pass you. I know, Chris, you and me have both stood on that pit lane, and it is not flat the whole way to the entrance.
No.
It looks like a damn mountain range. They call it Pocono Raceway not because it's in the Poconos, but because the pit lane is the Poconos.
Yeah, that is exactly right. One of those places that is just absolutely wild to be close down to the racing surface on.
What is mind-blowing to me at Pocono, they used to run IHRA 8th mile drag races down the front stretch.
Down the front stretch, yep. Yes, there was also a 3/4 mile oval that used the front stretch and pit lane. They ran the Race of Champions for the modifieds there for years and years.
It is wide enough, I'll give you that. Well, I think pit lane at Pocono is as wide as the front straightaway here.
Yeah, it's got to be close. As the battle for the lead is heating up, Hunter Waters holding off Johnny Avila, but it's only a couple of car lengths to make their way down the back straightaway. And it's going to be 60 to go this next time by. I would tend to think, well, let's see. You said you could go about 140, I think you said, Bizzle?
Yep, 140 I believe is my number.
Yeah, I think you can make it. It would be 133 laps, 134 laps for Hunter Waters and Johnny Avila. We may not see these guys on pit road again the rest of the way. Who it's really going to bite is Andrew Moore Jr. He will have to get on pit lane as he is 115 laps into this run.
Yeah, I don't think he ever expected this race to go green after what was stage 1.
You never know. As the race goes on, the tires start to go to crap. You're going to be dialing that brake bias farther and farther back just to try and get the car to turn the corners. Eventually, you're going to hit that number where it decides, nope, I'm not going to make the corner. I'm just going to spin you before we even get there.
It doesn't sound pleasant to drive this car here at Martinsville, quite frankly.
No, nothing is pleasant to drive at Martinsville. It's just repetitive enough that you can get good at it.
I don't know. The MX-5s look like they would be spectacularly fun here.
I don't know. I enjoy practically any car around this track, but then again, I have very messed up taste.
Martinsville is one of my favorite racetracks that I have been to. Between the absolutely stunning scenery around this place, the Martinsville hot dog stand down in the infield, that you can get a 6-pack of hot dogs for like $11. Just absolutely wonderful. And those things are as pink as they make them sound like, too. It's like that green slime hot dog. Oh my goodness, love the Martinsville hot dog. The place always puts on great racing here for the oldest short track, the oldest track period on the NASCAR calendar.
Yeah, I believe there's a couple tracks still in use that are older, but none that run the Cup Series schedule.
That is correct. Martinsville has been on the Cup schedule every year since the inaugural season in 1949 as Brandon Carroll hops the curb.
Yeah, because I know Riverhead's been around since at least 48. I know Riverhead is older than Martinsville, but they quit racing Cup there in the late 70s.
Yeah, actually, Martinsville would have its record supplanted, if you will, if the Cup Series were to ever return to the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. That place is older than the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, originally running car races there in 1909.
Well, same thing with Milwaukee, right? Milwaukee's been running before the First World War.
Correct.
But they haven't been continuously running.
I tell you, the things I would do to have both of those tracks back on the country calendar.
Why? We already have New Hampshire. I mean, if you want to sleep twice during the season, I guess we can go to Milwaukee.
Wow.
Okay, that's fair about Milwaukee, but I can't imagine fairgrounds, even with how short track racing is with the current package. I can't imagine fairgrounds not putting on a show.
And that's also not to diss New Hampshire. New Hampshire is one of the greatest fan experiences to go to. If you go there, camp at the track, or you can just go and watch the race. It's one of the greatest tracks to go there and hang out at. But to watch a race on TV, I think I'll go and watch golf. It'll be all right.
I will say this. both Martinsville and New Hampshire, the best race of the weekend is with the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. It is full-on super speedway up in New Hampshire, and it's almost like that here at Martinsville. Those guys put on an absolutely incredible show.
Every track I've ever watched the Modified Tour at, I've been to probably most of the tracks on their tour schedule in person. Those things are just fantastic wherever you throw them. I wouldn't be surprised if we threw those cars on Dover. It would be fun. It would be full-on plate racing, bump drafting track. Dover, I think, is the biggest they could run. Oh, we got one going around. That's going to be Garrett Johnston.
Garrett Johnston goes around off the bumper of Roger Rios. And Rios just locked it down and stayed right there. Now he's going to get out of the way now. But this is going to put us under the caution flag with 45 laps to go. It's going to let Andrew Moore Jr. make his final pit stop. And all of these guys are going to come down and take that one set of stickers they got left in the box.
That was going to be my big question. Do your 2 leaders come down pit road?
Yeah, you would be insane not to. Because this green flag run was like, what, 100 laps?
There's 89 is what I'm seeing, yeah.
Yeah, there's no way you could not come down and take tires. You would be a sitting duck.
So Hunter Waters is down and away. We'll see if he's going to be able to win the race off of pit lane. He will. Andrew Mraz looks like he'll be second off pit lane in between without Will Racing teammates Hunter Waters and Johnny Avila.
Interesting.
Now,
that's a heck of a stop.
I think we've seen Hunter Waters backwards at some point tonight, although that car looks very, very clean. Almost too clean for a race at Martinsville. You can see the front end of Johnny Avila's car is all beat up. Same for Andrew Mraz. That car was backwards at one point as well tonight. Braden Carroll will stay out. He will get one of his laps back. That will put him into the 24th position. Excuse me, 24 laps down to the race leaders. Roger Rios, an extended stop here on pit lane. 48 seconds for Roger Rios. Todd Wilhite is in, and he is getting his pit service as we speak. Also staying out the 42 of Quentin Clark. He will also get a lap back. That'll put him 44 laps down.
I'm surprised that Roger was having to do that long of a stop. It really didn't look like significant contact, but apparently it was.
Getting word from race control, we will get Roger back on the lead lap. We mistakenly parked him.
Oof. But at least they're fixing their mistake.
So the iRacing safety truck is in. They're in the simspeedshop.com restart zone. Hunter Waters gets the good start. Johnny Avila not quite able to get it down to the inside lane. Oh, as Andrew Mraz goes around it too.
The curb. Oh, he hooked the curb. Oh. Yeah, that's heartbreaking if you're Mraz.
Take a look at it here on the NRN replay. Just got a little bit of curb. You saw the back end of the car get up in the air. That car goes around. A little bit of contact for Tom Wilhite. But, James, you mentioned this earlier in the show. Somebody potentially running into an issue and getting parked. That's going to help Braden Carroll. Because if somebody gets parked now with 38 to go, Braden Carroll will come around them and pass them for a position. It's only going to be one, but it's one more position. And with Johnny Avila running second, Braden Carroll moves up to 10th. Now it's only an 8-point gap that he would be closing.
Yeah, but things are going to have to go really crazy really quickly.
So it looks like we are going to have 6 cars remaining on the lead lap as the 45 of Andrew Mraz is on pit lane.
It does look like they're going to get the number 5 car back in the lead lap as well.
Yep, Roger Rios is coming back around. He will get on the tail end of the lead lap. Andrew Mraz down and away, back onto the racetrack. 31.3 seconds, the time of the stop. There you just see the 45 passing its way through. So the field should get the signal to double up next time by. At least they should. We may go an extra lap here in order to allow the 5 to get back onto the lead lap.
Yeah, you appreciate them fixing their mistake. I remember back in the day, something similar happened with Earnhardt where they penalized him because they thought he didn't have all the lug nuts tight, so they held him, but they found out that he did have all the lug nuts tight, so they let him go around and get his laps back.
Seeing Roger Rios come screaming down past the field again.
That is, I don't want to say an angry driver, but definitely a little miffed there. Like, I'm going full speed. Screw all you guys. I'm getting back in the lead lap now.
Well, the problem is you got to get back to kind of packed up with the tail end of the field. But now the lights are out, and we are going to get ready to go back racing with 33 laps to go. Hunter Waters and Andrew Moore Jr. on the front row, row number 2. Johnny Avila and A.J. Digby. Where did Digby come from? That car was backwards twice at various points tonight. Garrett Johnston, Tom Wilhite, Roger Rios, Andrew Mraz. Back through the 8th position. Those are the 8 cars that are on the lead lap. At this point, only Tyler Seville and Troy Hayt are out of this race. Waters gets the good jump off to turn number 1. Andrew Moore Jr. really sets the car off deep. He wants to get around Johnny Avila.
He looked out just to get back to the inside.
Johnny Avila putting up a new fastest lap of the race, 19.276. That car is flying around here right now. Not much of a change in the weather conditions either. Still under clear skies, 76-degree ambient temperature, 80-degree track temp. As A.J. Digby now putting up a new fastest lap of the race at a 19.239. A little bit of a bobble for Waters. Here comes Avila looking to the outside.
this pass taken care of quickly.
That's exactly it. You can try to make the pass, but what you don't want to have happen is you get freight trained.
It's there.
I think that may have been a little bit of discretion being the better part of valor for Andrew Moore Jr.
Yeah, he could have dive bombed it, but I don't think it would have worked out well for any parties involved.
Lap number 150 going up on the scoreboard. It'll be 25 to go next time by, and we've got a 4-car fight for the race lead.
Whoa.
Top 4 have about a 1.7 second gap to 5th place Garrett Johnston. But Johnston's going to have Andrew Mraz, Roger Rios, and Tom Wilhite absolutely all over him as well.
It's a big wiggle from Avila off of turn 4 that last lap. With how little the wiggles that we've seen causing the big chaos that could have been disastrous for Johnny.
As a reminder, coming up 1 week from tonight, it will be the season finale for the Sim Racers Club. The title will be decided in Phoenix, just like the real world. It will be Braden Carroll versus Johnny Avila in a 175-lap race to decide the Mid-Mortgage Fall Season champion. We'll be able to catch that right here on NRN. Next Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We've still got 21, now 20 laps to go, though, here left at the Martinsville Speedway. And this is that part, I think we've hit the point in the race where Johnny Avila is saying, I don't want to give up the spot to Moore and Digby, but I really don't have to go after Hunter here and pick up a win.
Yeah,
Nope,
like
just second place is good enough.
yeah, Johnny says he doesn't care about the championship, but he's a racer. You always care, no matter what you say.
We will do the full promo for this one at the conclusion of the race, but coming up on Saturday night, Soda and a Smile 4. iRacing Super Speedway. 4 open-wheel multi-class cars, the IR01, IR18, PM18, and Silver Crown. All on the racetrack at one time for an hour. And it's an Enduro. No caution flags either, with just the crazy closing speeds of the faster cars. Wild, wild show. It'll be in the open hosted section on iRacing this coming Saturday night. If you want more information, discord.gg/TNT Racing. Next time by, it'll be 15 to go for Hunter Waters. Andrew Moore Jr. may have to contend with A.J. Digby for the final spot on the podium. Starting to make some ground up here on Avila. Not a whole lot going on here, though, towards the front. Let's slide back a little bit. Pick up Andrew Mraz and Roger Rios. These guys have had it. Both have had some adventures here tonight. This is going to be the battle for the 6th position.
Yeah, Mraz's car just has not been the same since that's been.
Here comes Rios making the dive on Mraz into turn number 3. He'll get that pass completed. Puts Roger Rios up to position number 6. Johnny Avila now sitting about 0.6 of a second back, and teammate Hunter Waters in the battle for the race lead. Our Charger award that does pay some cash here, courtesy of Realty Executive Saskatoon. Johnny Avila up 11. Now we'll see if race control allows that to stand or not, but it could be Hunter Waters, who is up 10. Roger Rios up 6, Doug Vaisaki up 5, and AJ Digby up 4. As we are now inside of 10 laps to go.
I believe the only requirement for the hard charger is you have to make a qualifying attempt. So as long as he attempted qualifying, even with an EOL, if he attempted and was slow, then he should be good.
Yeah, it was an attempt, all right.
It was an attempt. He was cheesing the first lap, tried to grab the gas and spun it around, so he just grabbed reverse and did the entire second qualifying lap in reverse.
Did he get a time on the board?
Yes, he did. About 25 seconds or something like that. 27 seconds.
Well, that's all the rules state. That's all they have written down. So it unofficially, in Bizzle's opinion, it does stand. Now, what the race officials think, that's a different story.
Yes, the race officials that are significantly smarter than you are the Brian Barnhart of our broadcast team here.
I just want to say I ran the most successful race in the history of TNT in a long time last night, so I must know what I'm doing.
Yes, I believe it was MX-5s at North Wilkesboro with 400,000 AI cars as well. It sounds
there were 6 AI cars and 32 total cars on the grid.
Oh, there you go.
We had a couple people there.
So
it still doesn't beat the time I've had Rick Mears' brother in the service.
Yes, Roger Mears we had Haley Deegan for one. We've had a few, actually.
I had a Formula 4 driver in one of my races a couple days ago. I can't remember his name. Watson used to race with him in quarter midgets like years ago.
I did, Jade Connery.
But now we're down to 3 laps to go here at Martinsville. I am rooting for anyone but overtime. Hunter Waters trying to hold off Johnny Avila. Andrew Moore Jr. and AJ Digby are all going to be right there, but it may not matter much here as we're down to 2 to go. It would take something big from Johnny Avila at this point to get around Hunter Waters. White flag in the air, 1 to go here at Martinsville. Hunter Waters looking to pick up the win. Already down the back straightaway.
Nobody goes for the Chastain.
Checkered flag goes in the air, and Hunter Waters wins at Martinsville. Gets his 2nd win of the season. And the Will Worsler guys are going to throw a party here on the front stretch. In a race where Some of these drivers have hit everything, including the pace car. Somehow, Hunter Waters has an absolutely clean race car. Well, had a clean race car that he'll be taking to victory lane. But first, we got to show you tonight's race results. Hunter Waters by a tenth and change over Johnny Avila. Andrew Moore rounds out the podium. AJ Digby and Garrett Johnston complete the top 5. Roger Rios, Andrew Mraz, Tom Wilhite, Doug Visaki, and Richard Fletcher back through the 10th position here tonight. 11 through 14, Brandon Carroll, Quentin Clark, Tyler Seville, and Troy Haight. Daniel Pinkston did not get out on the grid, so I don't believe he will be credited with 15th place tonight. Now it's time to bring in our race winner for tonight's victory lane interview, as he's still getting absolutely drilled by teammate Johnny Avila. Hunter Waters, congratulations. Man, I'll tell you what, that was a great drive tonight. Until the burnout stuff at the end here, you managed to keep that car clean the entire night long in a race that everybody else hit everything, including the pace car. How are you able to pull that off?
Well, first off, definitely just shout out to Johnny, shout out Fletch. AJ had a really good finish, I believe, came home 4th. Unfortunately, Tyler couldn't finish, but definitely just want to shout out my teammates first and foremost. Just trying to keep it clean. Obviously, a lot of luck. Braden, of course, is always quick. He got damaged, so, you know, I'm going to take it where I get it. A part of racing here is trying to stay out of the muck. So I felt like I did a pretty good job of that. Had some luck on my side, but I mean, obviously, 175 laps at Martinsville is not that long of a race in reality, but, you know, just trying to keep it clean that first half. Took tires, kind of was advantageous, I feel like, with some of the cars around me, kind of on that long stretch that we had there after that stage break on lap 40. So, you know, just happy to do it, just trying to kind of take it slow and steady more or less at the beginning. But, yeah, super happy with it.
Yeah, now we're going to look ahead 1 week, and we're going to round out the season at the Phoenix Raceway. They're not anywhere close to similar, but in a lot of respects, Phoenix and Martinsville will drive the same in a lot of ways. You really have to hit the line, be consistent. You cannot miss your marks. What do you think as we head out there? I mean, a little bit light of a car count tonight, but in reality, that made for an absolutely fantastic race.
Oh yeah, you know, exactly like you mentioned, you know, you got to be in a rhythm, you got to be driving, you know, with pretty good intent, you got to be pretty focused. I don't think Johnny and I spoke for the last, you know, 70 laps pretty much. We were so pretty focused, him with the damaged car, and then I had some, actually had a throttle issue on my Fanatec pedals. The vibrating motor like kind of fell out of the bracket on my throttle, so I was only getting about 90% throttle for a majority of the race there, if not the whole thing. So just trying to focus back and forth there, but you know, like I say, being in a rhythm, staying focused, kind of like, you know, mentioning how me and him were, I think is the biggest secret to having good laps. Again, I think there's guys who can do a lot better laps than me in this league. So this win, I don't give a rat's ass what happens next week, to be fair. So I'll take this and run, man.
That's awesome. Hunter, congratulations picking up your second win of the season. Before we let you go, I know you shouted the team out already, but get all those sponsor plugs and other shout outs and thank yous you want to do here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Shout out to you guys in the booth. I'm definitely looking forward to watching this one back. They're fun even whenever I finish poorly, so I'm definitely happy for an outcome like this. You know what? I'm going to shout out myself. I only ever win super speedway races sometimes, so I'm taking a little bit of credit. I'm pretty happy, even though I, you know, fell into some luck. But I'm thrilled. This is awesome. I couldn't be happier. I haven't stopped smiling for the last 5 minutes. So, you know, shout out Sam, shout out Jordan. Obviously, they do a great job. It's never easy, you know, running an admin deal here at a short track. So, you know, I felt like that was really clean tonight, to be fair. So, you know, shout out this league. Shout out everybody that does participate. Shout out Troy, I feel awful for his internet issues, man. He's fast, and he's always kind of running into some problems. So, shout out him for just having some speed and the poor luck. Hopefully that kind of turns around.
All right, brother. Well, thank you much. We appreciate you coming to hang out and check in with us. Second win of the season for Hunter Waters, and now we got to talk to a guy who I would imagine has to be at least a little bit excited here. Johnny Avila, our second place finisher tonight. And you made up a ton of ground in the points. But first, I got to ask you, how were you able to get that car to the finish of this thing with it being at least partially in a box?
I don't know. My steering was broken, so I was crooked. My wheel was crooked the whole race. But I also didn't have a lot of power. But I was just braking later than everybody and praying. Couple times I'd lock up, get loose, whatever. I was just like, my car's already broken, and worst case scenario, Hunter's there to stop me. So.
That's fantastic. The 8 tires are better than 4 strategy of trying to slow a car down here at Martinsville. Now we do have to look ahead here. Braden had some trouble tonight. Didn't earn any stage points. Coming home with, I think, an 11th place finish tonight. You may be leaving here as the points leader as we head off to Phoenix.
I think I might be, because he was only ahead of me by 16 points, and the 2 stages alone, I think, covered that gap.
Yeah, now, does that change your thought process of how you drive next week at Phoenix? Are you just kind of looking for Braden, going, I have to finish ahead of him? Or
No.
Are you still kind of in that mindset of just get the wins?
Ricky Bobby said it best, if you ain't first, you're last. So I'm going full out.
I was really worried you were going to give me a different Ricky Bobby quote there. Or even worse, a Reese Bobby quote of some sort. Man alive, Johnny, congratulations on the podium here tonight. Looking forward to seeing what you can do next week out here at Phoenix. And before we let you go, do all the sponsor plugs and shout-outs you want to get in here.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank everybody, and also, if you need any open setups, whether it's short track or NASCAR, you can check out Zeems. We got pretty much everything covered right now, and obviously, I'd like to thank you guys up in the booth and everybody that puts this thing together. It's been a fun little last couple of weeks.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you much. We appreciate you coming to hang out with us up here in the booth, and now it's going to be time for us to check in with our third place finisher, Mr. Andrew Moore Jr. And I'll tell you what, Andrew, that car was an absolute rocket ship tonight. Talk us through what your strategy was, at least for a little bit early in the race, because it seemed like you had the car to beat for the vast majority, ultimately maybe just getting caught out on pit strategy a little bit.
Yeah, the car felt good tonight. Honestly, with all those cautions in the front there and getting the jumps on the restarts like the leader gets, I was kind of getting all that for free. When that stage came, I thought, wow, these cautions are just going to keep on coming. I might as well wait to take them. But this is probably the 5th time this season that bit me in the butt gambling like that. But that's all right. This is still a fun race.
Yeah, eventually that strategy is going to turn out in your favor. And now as we look ahead to Phoenix 1 week from tonight, you're locked up in a tight battle with Tyler and Hunter. What are your thoughts there? Because you've got a couple of guys battling for a championship, but you've got points on the line here for you guys that, quite frankly, is just as important in your own personal races.
Yeah, I'm going to race like I always race and, give space where it's needed and all that. But if I'm, up front competing, I'm going to try to win, of course.
Well, I tell you what, we're looking forward to it, seeing what you guys can do 1 week from tonight. Andrew, congratulations on the podium finish. And before we let you go here, do all your sponsor plugs and shout-outs.
Yeah, it's been a while here. I'm on Riot Motorsports team now, so shout out to them. Shout out to Jordan and Sam. Shout out to you guys broadcasting. It's always fun to watch. And my brother who's probably watching. Thanks, fella.
All right, brother. Well, thank you much. We appreciate you coming to hang out with us. We are actually going to even bypass the show closeout here with, well, no, maybe not. We'll bring Bizzle in and James back into the booth here. James, I'll start with you. Did you see this race having a 100-plus lap run to finish it out? Because we spent about the first, 35, 40 laps under caution, it seemed like.
Yeah, I know I joined in right after the caution fest, but that was pretty wild.
Yeah, I can't say I'm too terribly surprised, given the talent level, but it is a pretty significant kind of face turn with how the race was going and how it ended.
Yeah, and Bizzle, we've seen that in the past with these guys. You get a lot of, cautions early and then a big, long green flag run to close the race out. Seeing that tonight kind of gives me a little bit of pause for what we may see next week at Phoenix as well.
Yeah, Phoenix is going to be absolutely wild. There's a points fight on the table. It's just a terribly difficult track. Plenty of room for passing. Each corner of the track is different. Phoenix is always a fun one.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it in a big way. And quite frankly, it's time for us to get the heck on out of here. I have been, hopefully it doesn't sound like it, I am absolutely sick as a dog. I'm going to go inhale a pile of cold medicine and hopefully be in pretty good shape for the USF Pro Championships, kicking 2024 Season 1 off tomorrow night at Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Fantastic car, one of the best tracks, road tracks anyway, on the service for it. Those shows you really don't want to miss. You'll be able to see that one at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Like I said, with that, time for us to get the heck on out of here. For Bizzle, James, and everybody here at the National Racing Network that makes these shows happen, my name is Chris Graham. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us, and we'll talk to you all soon. Have a good night, everybody.